Let us begin with the major aims of Indian foreign policy. The first major aim which is there of Indian foreign policy, that is national security. Here the national security is nothing but security of our nation. The nation which is there of our India has been secured with its own borders. The borders are being secured with the help of the army, with the help of the navy forces and many more also. And the second important aim which is there of Indian foreign policy, that is to enrich our national economy. Here enrich is nothing but to improve or to develop. It means the foreign policy of our India, it always focuses to improve or to develop the economy of our nation. The economy of our nation can be improved with the help of GDP. And the GDP of our nation can be decided when our government is going to earn the maximum source of income, either it may be in the terms of taxes or with the help of the non-taxes. The taxes are subdivided into two types. One is known as a direct tax and one more is known as a indirect tax. And non-tax has been subdivided into 6 types. The first one which is there, income from RBI. Second one is income from industries, that is the public industries. And the third one is income from railways. And the fourth one is income from coins and mints. And the fifth one is income from fees and penalties. And the last one is income from the post offices. And the third important aim which is there of Indian foreign policy, that is the spreading of the cultural richness of our country in the other countries of the world and bringing the cultural aspects of other countries into our India. What exactly this third important aim means? It means when we have a proper foreign relationship with other countries of the world, then definitely the cultural values whatever are there of our India, we can also send it to the abroad. By the way of what? By the way of foreign relationship. Even though the cultural aspects whatever are there of the other countries of the world, we can also bring it into our India with help of the foreign policy. And the fourth important aim of Indian foreign policy is to increase the number of friendly countries and to check the power of enemy countries. What is the fourth aim? Always our India is trying to increase the friendship with the countries whichever are there in the world. So that only presently our India is being termed as one of a major powerful country of the world because it has a proper relationship with many other countries of the world, because always it is maintaining friendly relationship with other countries. But even though there are some enemies of our India also, where it is going to check their power. What is the power of the enemy of our nation? And the fifth important aim which is there, that is always our India is trying to achieve peace in the world and it is living in an coexisted way. Coexisted way is nothing but to live together in a peaceful way with each and every nation of the world. The next important thing which is there, remember the first Prime Minister of our India, that is Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. He has delivered a radio speech on 7th of September 1946, which has been delivered for the purpose of foreign policy of our nation only. You can see in the picture which is given, as this policy which is there, it has been announced for the first time on the radio speech by Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, where he has announced as we are going to have a proper foreign relationship with some of the major important countries of the world. Like he has said, we are going to have the proper foreign relationship with America, with Russia and with China and many more countries of the world also. So we have become the part of United Nations of organization. And remember, for the one important 1 marks question which is being asked for the board examination, that is why Indian foreign policy has been hailed as Nehru's foreign policy, because Indian foreign policy has been held as Nehru's foreign policy because he was the first Prime Minister of our India and the first Foreign Affairs Minister of our India who has put a lot of efforts to bring the foreign policy in our country to have the proper relationship with the international countries. And now we are going to continue with the next important topic, that is the basic aspects of Indian foreign policy. There are totally 5 basic aspects which are there of Indian foreign policy, where we are going to learn one by one. The first important basic aspect which is there of Indian foreign policy, that is Panchashila principles. As this Panchashila principle agreement has been done by 2 countries, the one country is known as India and the second country is known as China. Both the countries have agreed to have a proper relationship on the basis of Panchashila, that is 5 principles or the 5 rules which has been agreed in the year 1954. You can see in the picture which has been given with the Prime Minister of India, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, and the Prime Minister of China, Zhou Enlai. Both of them, they have agreed to have a proper relationship on the basis of 5 principles. Now, which are those 5 principles? Let us come to know. The first important principle which is there of Panchashila agreement, that is respecting each other's sovereignty and regional interest. It means we need to have a respect on the sovereignty of a particular country. India is also a sovereign country, and even the China is also a sovereign country. And the sovereignty, whatever is there of a country, it should be respected by each other. What is sovereignty? A powerful country, or a country which is not under the control of any other country after the independence, in the internal issues also, and even though in the external issues also. The second important principle, that is non-invasion of each other. It means China should not invade into our India. Invade is nothing but to enter into the borders of our India, and India should not enter into the borders of China, where the border has been demarcated between India and China on the basis of a line which is known as McMahon line. And the third important principle which is there, that is non-interference into the each other's internal issues. Whatever internal matters or internal issues are there of a country, it has to be solved by themselves only, where China should not interfere into the internal matters of India, and India should not interfere into the internal matters of China. And the fourth important principle is mutual cooperation and respect. Mutual is nothing but in between 2 countries, or in between 2. Here mutual cooperation and respect is nothing but both the countries should have a proper cooperation and respect between each other. And the last important principle which is there, that is always we should maintain peace into the world, or we should live together in a peaceful way for the ever. And the second important basic aspect which is there of Indian foreign policy, that is the non-alignment movement or the non-alignment policy. After the Second World War, or after the end of the Second World War, which has been ended in the year 1945, after that there was one more major war which has begun between the 2 powerful blocks. Blocks is nothing but the groups. The one important bloc was of USA, which was known as a democratic bloc, and the one more bloc was of Russia, which was known as a communist bloc. Both the countries has begun with a war in the year 1947, which was known as a Cold War. But our India has adopted one policy which was known as a non-alignment policy. What exactly non means? Non means not to. Alignment means to join. Non-alignment means not to join. It means that after independence, India wanted to focus full on its progress full on its development. But we did not want it to join either with Russia or with America into the war. We wanted to live in an independent way. Where in those days India followed the policy of non-alignment. It means we are not going to join either with any of blocks. But India, it was successful in commanding faith or belief from both the blocks. Because of that reason only, after achieving success from or faith from both the blocks, India has got help or assistance from both the blocks. As from America, we have got help in the form of finance or in the form of money, and from Russia we have got assistance or help, that is in the form of military or in the form of security. And even though India has also dealt with every international event independently and welcomed or criticized any of an issue in an independent way. If India has liked at the regional interest level, it has accepted that kind of a deal with the international countries. If it has got any kind of a problem or issue, it has criticized or it has rejected that kind of a deal at the international level. And the credit of creating this kind of independent policy of non-alignment it goes to the Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, who has always stood straight to reject the war between any countries of the world. And after Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, some important prime ministers of our India and some important presidents of our India has followed one important principle, that is I4I Policy. What is exactly I4I Policy? I4I Policy is nothing but if any country is going to have an aggression or on our nation, even though we are also going to give a revenge as well. Because of that only, there were three major wars which has been done by Pakistan on India. The first was in the year 1965, second was in the year 1971, and the third was in the year 1999. In all the three wars, India has got victory. And after that, the one of an important prime minister of our India, Atal Bihari Vajpayee, he has came as a new important reform prime minister of our India, who has struggled or strived to have a better foreign relationship with Pakistan. But even though Pakistan is creating problem with the two major issues with India, the one major issue is known as border dispute, and the one more important issue that is known as terrorism. And the third important basic aspect which is there of Indian foreign policy, that is anti-imperialism. What is exactly anti-word? Anti is nothing but against. And what is imperialism? Imperialism is nothing but it is an attempt which is made by one sovereign country to take over another sovereign country with the aim or intention of ruling for their own personal gains. Let me give an example so that you can understand. Remember, if one sovereign country is there, it will rule on another sovereign country only. Sovereign country means a powerful country. For what purpose? For the purpose of earning, or for the purpose of selfishness, or for the purpose of their own personal gain, they are going to rule over there. But our India is against of this imperialism, where we are fighting a lot to solve this kind of a problem into the world. Because of that only, our India has declared a conference at the Asian level with the Asian countries, where to oppose this kind of imperialism, India has conducted conference at the international level in the Asian continent, where the first important conference has been held into our India in the year 1949 at New Delhi, that is to solve the problem of imperialism. And the one more important conference has been held into our Asia, that is at the Indonesia, which has been held into the Bandung city of Indonesia. Since then, India is following the policy of anti-imperialism, means no any sovereign country should dominate on any other sovereign country of the world. Now let us begin with a new topic, that is anti-apartheid policy. Actually, in the heading they have given anti-imperialism. You have to think as it is anti-apartheid policy. Let me tell you what is exactly apartheid. Apartheid is known as racial discrimination. What is exactly mean by race? Remember, race is nothing but difference in skin color or hair. So let me give an example. Like in the America or Africa, you have heard whites and blacks. White people were trying to dominate on black people, where both of them, whites and blacks, which are there, they are known as of different race. What is exactly apartheid policy means? It means that it is an attempt which has been made by one race or people of a particular skin or color to subjugate is nothing but to rule on another race of people of different skin color in the name of supremacy. Supremacy is nothing but creating power. Apartheid policy is nothing but the one race which is there, it is trying to rule on another race. The one kind of people who are there, they are trying to rule on another power people. Like white people are trying to rule on black people. For the purpose of what? For the purpose of creating supremacy, for the purpose of creating power. Of whom? Of the white people. But remember, this kind of a major problem, it was into the South Africa, where one of an important individual from the South Africa, Nelson Mandela, has tried to solve this problem into the Africa. But remember, apartheid policy is an affront. Affront is nothing but against to the human right and the world peace, where the foreign policy of India has also declared that no country of the world should practice this kind of apartheid into any country. Where the father of our nation, Mahatma Gandhi ji, he too have supported to Nelson Mandela to solve the problem of apartheid. Remember, the human rights which has been granted or which has been delineated by any of a constitution, it occurred to provide or to implement to all the individuals who have taken birth into their country. The 25 chapters which are there of our constitution in India, in the third chapter of our constitution, we are dealing with the fundamental rights of all the individuals. From article where to where? From article 12 to 35. All the articles whatever are there, it has been dealt only with the fundamental rights only. Where this apartheid which is there, it is against of the human rights and it is against of maintaining peace into the world. And recently, white people in the Africa or in South Africa, they were ruling on the majority of the black people. But one of an important person from the South Africa, who was known as an African Gandhi, he has made his own party, which was known as ANC, which is also known as African National Congress, where with his party he has opposed with the major problem of apartheid, that is racial discrimination. And he has put a lot of efforts and he has strived to remove the problem of racial discrimination. And he has provided the proper justice to all the majority of the black people by removing the problem of racial discrimination. And the last important topic which is there from this chapter, that is the disarmament. First of all, let us know what is exactly mean by armament, so that we can understand what is disarmament. Armament is nothing but production of the arms and ammunitions, guns, bombs, whatever are there. But disarmament is nothing but the process of elimination. Elimination is nothing but removal of specific arms and ammunitions or guns and bombs step by step from a country is known as disarmament. If any country is producing maximum arms and ammunition in their own country, we have to eliminate it, we have to remove it, or we have to reduce it, so that there should not be any kind of a war between the countries. As in the Cold War, America and Russia, both the countries, they were fighting to each other. Because of what? Because of the armament only. Because both the countries were powerful in the form of nuclear weapons. They were showing that we are powerful than America and we are powerful than Russia. This kind of the things were going on between those two countries. And even the scientists of the world, they have suggested, in the world, if there is a third world war which is going to occur, it will not be a third world war, but it will be a nuclear war. With a war in the future, it is going to occur in the form of what? Nuclear power itself, or with the help of the nuclear weapons we are going to have a war. So that only India has adopted the policy of disarmament, because to have a peace and not to have any kind of a war between any countries of the world. And presently, there is totally a competition between many major countries of the world. Because of what? Because of the production and sale of many arms and ammunition in the world. And many countries of the world are worrying about the third world war. Because of what? Because of a massive competition between each and every country of the world. And presently, our India is adopting the policy of disarmament, and it is requesting or suggesting or recommending to all the countries of the world to have the disarmament policy into your own nation. Because with the help of this disarmament, we can focus on our nation, we can focus for the economic development of our nation, we can focus for the political development of our nation, but we can reject the war between any country of the world, that is with the help of only disarmament. The Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, the first Prime Minister of our India, he has said the only viable or possible option which we have or which we can have to solve the problem of war, that is only disarmament, he has said. And even though, India as a peace-loving country in the world, always it is advocating for the disarmament, where with the help of this we can reduce the production of arms and ammunition qualitatively also, and even though into the quantitatively form also. Since independence, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru has supported for the process of disarmament. But remember, this disarmament or the fully disarmament is impossible, and it is impractical to attain as well. What is the reason? Because every country of the world, for their own protection, it needs some kind of the arms and ammunitions. When there is an external aggression from any other country of the world, we can't stand by folding our hands, even though we need to give some kind of a revenge also. Because of that, some kind of the arms and ammunitions we can keep, but the whole or fully disarmament is impossible. And the Constitution of our India has advocated the foreign policy of our country according to Article 51 of the Constitution, where the Constitution of our India has advocated this article, that is for maintaining or establishing peace and cooperation with all the international level or with all the international countries of the world. And the Department of Foreign Affairs or the External Affairs, which is there of our central government, is totally responsible for maintaining or for implementing or for formulating of the foreign policy of our nation. And always India is considering always India is working at the national interest or at the public opinion. At the national interest or public opinion is nothing but in the interest of our nation or in the interest of the public, always India is going to work. Because of that only we have formed one type of government, that is known as a democratic form of government. What does it mean? It means the power has been given to all the individual citizens who are residing in our nation. And India being one of a peace-loving country into the world, it is always strengthening the policy of United Nations of organization, where because of that only for the eighth time India has elected as a non-permanent member of United Nations Security Council since independence. Even though presently in the year 2020 we are also the non-permanent member in the United Nations of Security Council. But remember, all the 5 permanent members which are there of Security Council, they are recommending as India to be the permanent or 6th permanent member of Security Council, because India is also a well developing nation into the world. But some countries are interfering, or some countries are rejecting as India should not be the permanent member, and there is a veto power which is there for all the 5 permanent countries. If any country is rejecting, then India cannot become the permanent member of Security Council. And even though along with the UNO, India is also the part of SAARC organization. What is SAARC exactly? South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation, which has been formed on 8th of December 1985. And this important SAARC organization which is there, it has total 8 member countries, which has been always advocating for the purpose of maintaining peace and cooperation between all the major 8 countries of the Asia. And the first conference of the SAARC organization has been held at Bangalore, that is in our Karnataka itself. And not only this one, but even though we are also the part of Commonwealth of Nations also, where the head of Commonwealth of Nations is always King or Queen of England, where we are also playing a major role into the Commonwealth of Nations also. And India's role is always strengthening in the United Nations of organization because of our intellectual capacity, because of our friendly relationship with other majoring countries of the world, because of our military power, because of our economic development, because of our social development, because of our political development, and just because of one most important thing which has been given on the third picture, that as there are 2 hands which are shaking, it shows that always our India is trying to have a proper foreign relationship with all the major countries of the world. Because of that only United Nations of organization, it is always supporting to India to be the best member of United Nations of organization. I think all of you have understood. Thank you.